So in honor of my 28th birthday,
change their thing.
that's true.
What is
The paper.
So it feels way longer than the other one.
This is the smallest screwdriver ever. Oh, and then the lighting changes a lot. So in honor of my 28th birthday, I'm going to share some thoughts on aging and being 28 and reflections on your 20s, my 20s in general. Your 20s suck. I kind of wish someone had told me this sooner. Your 20s are just going to be hard. But they're supposed to be. When I was in my early 20s, mid 20s, that I made friends that were 10 years older because they were the ones that told me your 20s suck and you do get through it. On the bright side, your 20s are a great time to explore. I did it in my 20s. I tried a lot of things. I found out a lot of things that weren't for me. I moved across the world. I figured out what my real passions were. And I gained a lot of confidence in myself. But I'm grateful and I'm excited to see what my 28th year is filled with. Hello, good morning. We are back on October 24th, Thursday. I can't believe how quickly this week is flying by. It's been super busy at the coffee shop. I've barely had time to do anything but the coffee shop, so I'm hoping we'll get into a little better balance. So this morning, I made a deal with myself that I would get to work on some writing. I made these cards from my subplot video, and I've said I was going to enter them into my Scrivener. I have not done that. I've just been working straight from the cards and I'm scared I'm going to lose them. They're starting to get like wrinkled in my bag. They are numbered and color coded though, so I am going to go into my Scrivener this morning. This is the deal I made, that I get to work on some writing stuff today, even if it's like an admin-ish task with my writing. I'm going to work on this and finally enter these into my Scrivener, and hopefully my writing will feel a little more organized. So I am now officially stuck at home today, sick, really frustrating. Really don't want to be sick right now. I think it's one of those 24-hour things where I will just feel like crap and then bounce back. So thankfully we don't have to close because my team can handle that, but I still have a lot of work to do. Although I would rather just like curl up on the couch or in the bed and like read or play a video game or like veg and nap. We're just gonna push through and keep working today. So I've only done a handful of these cards. This is interesting. I'm going into Scrivener and editing the cards. If you are not familiar with Scrivener, it has this really cool UI setup where you can see all of your chapters in an act and just look at little like digital note cards of them. So you can make like scene cards within the software. And I really enjoy that about Scrivener. It is a paid software, but it is pretty cheap especially for a one-time payment. Like it's not a reoccurring subscription like a lot of software is nowadays. Looking at you, Adobe. I've already combined some chapters and rearranged some things because I realized I wrote like a scene and then left that as a chapter, and that's not going to work. But I don't know where to put it, and I'm trying not to get into that sort of developmental edit right now. I'm just trying to get myself organized and do the admin work so I can finish this first draft and catch up on that. So that's interesting. That was just like a little sneak peek at what I'm going to have to do for draft 2, my revision work. I also realized that I am completely cutting a character. Like when I was doing these subplots, I realized character isn't going to add to the story. They don't have a theme or a subplot or anything to add. They're completely removable, which makes me sad because I saw this character come to life before I even started writing the story. As a reminder, my MCs are an older couple, like old. And this might like really throw some people off and shoo them away, but we'll get into that after I finish the draft. I'll tell you guys more of that information. But anyway, so because they are older, they have adult children, and I created these 3 kids, adult kids, I should say, older than I am currently in life right now, these characters. And they came to me very clearly, their careers, who they were, what they looked like, their relationships. And now the youngest one doesn't really have a role in the story. I really thought this character would play a nice balance between the 2 older siblings and the conflict that's happening. But it just, once I worked through all my other subplots, I realized that if this character is the balance and resolves the conflict, then the conflict isn't actually resolved between the other characters. That is something that needs to happen for character growth in the story for the main characters. So I have only mentioned them a few times, this youngest sibling, in the story a few times. I'll probably just have to edit out any mention of that character and just sweep them under the rug. And it makes me sad, but it's just becoming more and more apparent that this character doesn't have a place in the story. This character doesn't have any of their own scenes with the MCs. They don't have their own conflict. They're literally just like a little side device in the background of scenes to be a soundboard, and that just feels so hollow, and it just doesn't feel like the character needs to be there. So I'm really sad that I just have to cut this character out. Not even in revision, we're not even in developmental edits yet, and I'm seeing these big developmental changes that need to happen. So for now, I'm just taking notes in my Scrivener. So when I do the read through with revision, I feel like I'm gonna be compiling a lot of lists and reviewing a lot of documents. My physical notebook, the physical print that I'm going to annotate, and then whatever I've written in Scrivener. We're gonna have to find a way to organize all those notes and make it come together. I'm getting excited thinking about revision. Like, that's a lot of work, so I'm like stressed, but I'm also like really excited to get to that point. So anyway, let's continue on. I really need to get these note cards entered. I probably won't throw them away once I'm done, but it will make me feel a lot better that they are entered into Scrivener. And then after that, I need to do some stuff for the coffee shop. At least my energy levels aren't totally depleted with this. I've definitely had sick days before where all I could do was just lay in bed and like lose time completely. That was probably more of like a burnout sickness. This is more of like a virus kind of thing. Okay, so I finally finished updating all my scene cards into Scrivener. I feel like I have a really good overview of my chapters. I feel like I have a somewhat accurate count of chapters now. I feel like my acts are divided properly. I'm giving myself a lot of grace with outlining and plotting and writing this story. I did outline by story beats, by the Save the Cat story beats, and I did have an outline, but I didn't divide these into chapters. I didn't do chapter by chapter. I think more in scenes first, I think, when I write, and then figure out chapters as I write. And sometimes I'm learning as I did this that I will just write a scene and make that a chapter, and it's not a standalone chapter. So that'll be fun for developmental edits. But yes, it's really weird documenting the pure chaos and garbage. I don't know. That's a very negative word. That's a very powerful negative word of but you know, just the bad first draft. It's really weird seeing this and documenting that and the craziness, especially as someone who is going through a learning curve as a new author, writing her first full book. That did take a lot longer than I thought it would, but seeing the overview, seeing the plot as a whole, and seeing the ending is a very positive thing that makes me excited. I've mentioned that I'm kind of struggling to get through this section of chapters and the whole imposter syndrome, first time writing the middle of a book ordeal that's happening with me right now, but seeing that whole journey is making me excited to write again. So I'm glad that I did this, one, for organization's sake, and so I don't lose those note cards, those physical note cards somewhere. It's nice having it digital. It's so funny, the most random things that you can do to spark inspiration and excitement in yourself as a writer, but just seeing that ending and how the whole journey, yeah, I'm excited to write. I hope I can find some time today to write for even a little bit. It probably won't be a monstrous amount. I need to switch gears and do some stuff for the coffee shop, some very important stuff. Think I'm going to shower and eat. I find that when I am sick, taking a shower or a bath at some point makes me feel a lot better. So we're gonna do that and do some self-care, and then we'll do some more work. Hello again. We are post-shower, post-lunchtime, feeling very fatigued. I could take a nap right now. So now I'm about to do some work for the coffee shop. It is October 25th and I just finished my writing session for the day. My daily goal is slowly creeping up as we get closer and closer to Thanksgiving. So there's a part of me, the workaholic part of me, I guess, that really wants to keep going. But I also know that I need to take a break, and Fridays are my time to be productive and write, but also rest. And I have to work tomorrow at the coffee shop. But then I'll have a little bit of time in the afternoon before we have to leave to go to dinner and a concert with friends, which I'm looking forward to. It's a band that I don't really know. It's one of my fiance's favorite bands, and when we ride in the car together, he's played their songs and I've liked them. So for whatever reason, the bands that he likes always have local concerts that are a lot closer and a lot cheaper than the bands that I like. So we just happen to go to more of those concerts. Either way, I'm excited to go to a concert because it feels like it's been a long time. I wrote 1,196 words in about an hour. My daily target is now at 594. I have my deadline set for November 28th. Sorry, I have my goal set on November 24th. No, Thanksgiving is November 28th this year, so maybe I should change that. I'm pretty sure we're actually having our Thanksgiving on the 24th. Again, this is the soft goal. I would love to reach this goal, and there's just so much happening in life right now. The scene I worked on today is actually in Act 1. For whatever reason, I thought I had already written this, and then when I went to enter my scene cards that I did in my subplotting video, I realized that I actually had not written this scene. I just had thought about it so much that I thought I'd written it. So I just went and got that done. And because I'd been thinking about it so much and thought I'd written it already, it was very easy and fast to write. The idea of actually finishing the first draft is also stressful because then I have to move on to the next part of the whole book writing process. Should I get an ARC reader? Like, what if I don't know how to fix all these plot holes and do all this research that I have created for myself? Like, what if I can't fix it? I'm already starting to freak out about that. I'm also getting really nervous about having to read my crappy first draft. Like, it's inevitable. And there is a part of me that knows that I am fully capable of getting the story that I want out, even if it takes way longer than I'm planning or thinking. I know it will happen. The story just feels so right. I've just had so much like imposter syndrome and nerves lately about this just because it's getting more real. So on that note, for the rest of the evening, I am gonna go relax. I really want to watch Over the Garden Wall. I know this is a cult classic, almost like a very fall vibey film, and I've just been hearing all sorts of cool things about it. And I am an adult that loves cartoons. I've heard this is a cartoon that has been like made for adults, and there is like meat to it and you can analyze it. Like, kids can watch it, but adults can watch it and like get that, scratch that itch. It's very short. Like, there are 2 parts in each episode. I think there's only 5 episodes and they're only 23 minutes. So I feel like this is something I could binge in one night and then like rewatch it a million times to analyze it if it really is that good. So I think we're gonna go get some chicken strips and watch Over the Garden Wall and then maybe play some video games because I'm addicted to Dreamlight Valley right now. Unfortunately, I didn't get another writing session in before we went to this concert, but I did really enjoy watching Over the Garden Wall the night before. I'm obsessed. It's so good, you guys. If you haven't watched it, please go watch it. It's so good. And then I had a pretty good time in this concert, despite not really knowing the bands very well. They were both Australian concerts. I'd heard them in the car a few times, but I didn't really know them. So that was weird. I didn't get a chance to film a proper outro, so we're gonna leave the video off here. All in all, it was a really good birthday week, and I'm really happy with where I'm at in my manuscript right now. Cheers.